I was born in Christchurch, but I was only about 1 when we went to the coast. And so I think that period of time living on the west coast of the South Island, just out of Greymouth, in a little place called Kororo, was such a small chunk in the whole of my life, 10 years, but so majorly important to who I am. It was an idyllic childhood. We lived in a house that my father bought and did up. I remember the gravel road, the access to the beach, the wild west coast, being a beachcomber. I think that was when I first started having that real interest in the presence that objects had outside of where they came from, like that shell or that bit of glass, or even the little bit of greenstone or power that we found, anything like that. We would put installations in this old shed, and we had all our little treasures, and they were important. I started writing even before anything else. My first artwork I do remember that I was really good at was drawing princess girls and lace on the dresses, and I had to do them for everybody in my class. And I kind of got kudos for that, so that was quite nice. But the poetry was also very much part of all of that. Like, I can remember one of them. The lawn is now our bedroom as we sleep out at night. Mother comes and tucks us up and wishes us good night. The stars are way up high, and goes on and on. But we just used to go, take our blankets, maybe something to lie on, not a sleeping bag, not a tent, just go and lie on the lawn, sleep out there all night. Nobody even knew where the key to the front door was. Everybody knew everybody. It was safe. And yeah.
Sounds idyllic.
Clothing, very basic. My mum only knew how to make one thing, pajama pants, so she made them in jean material, and then we wore those. Flip-flops and gumboots. These kind of jeans, t-shirts. We roamed all over the place. Mum would chuck us out in the morning and we'd come home at night. That's in the summer. Blackberrying. We'd built huts on the beach. I think this first thing that I ever smoked was a bit of driftwood. We'd take potatoes down, absolutely blacken them, and then eat them, and they'd be raw in the middle. But we did all of that stuff. I mean, people don't have childhoods like that anymore.
I know, it's a shame, isn't it? It's they were good days. And so the writing, where did that actually come from? Writing poetry, at age 8, it's pretty unusual.
My mum, she was a real academic. She was the only child, my mum. She was born in Blackpool, which is, I think, the link back to the coast. And she was one of the top scholars at Christchurch Girls. And she studied things like Old English and history. And she was training to be a teacher when she met my dad. And that was the end of that, because they moved to the coast shortly after I was born. Of course, that was the end of the war as well. But she wrote, even then she was writing stories. And she sat all her exam papers when she was pregnant with my youngest brother. So she was quite inspirational. My dad was one of those Renaissance men who could do anything and everything. He was wanting to be a builder. He wanted to be a doctor. He actually designed his own solar house before they were even solar houses. He did all of that sort of thing. So that was what I'd come from. Yeah. And I was encouraged in all of that. I would have been 9 or 10 when my mum said to a friend of ours who was an artist and a very good friend of Toss Wollaston's, Shelley wants to paint. What shall I do? And he said, well, buy some paints. Oh, said my mum. Okay, what shall I get her? So he gave her a list. He said, if you get that for her, I'll show her how to use them. And I still remember that lesson.
How amazing.
Um, he 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 actually taught me the fundamentals of putting down washes, and because it was oil paint then. And my poetry, I always used to share with my mum. She'd go over it. I remember one that I wrote straight after I'd been through a storm on the coast, and it was very sort of angry little girl, clean this land of all this evil mankind and all the rest of it. Mum says, Shell, you're an iconoclast, really. And yeah, so I got supported every step of the way. I think that the coast wasn't so much. I'm trying to think of how to frame this. It was more what I went back to in terms of memory. When I started making work, it was a rich source for making work for those memories. Just that whole experience of being on the coast and being part of a big family. And those two things thread all the way through the family and my attitude towards the landscape and the land and the bush and the beach and the water and those things.